I would like to introduce our first speaker. His name is Dr. Frank Kindermann. I just saw him a minute ago. Now he hid behind the scene here. Please come up on the stage.
Hey.
Frank,
Good morning.
Great to have you here. Thanks for that.
I was asked to do that.
Frank is head of battery systems Europe at NIO in Munich. And what's interesting, in that function, he's also heading the European Technical Center of the Battery System Department at NIO. So two great functions. You had a station before at Audi as technical project lead for the high voltage battery cell development and technical team lead for the high voltage battery cell development. Before that, research associate, doctorate degree in electrical and computer engineering, then electrical and computer engineering study, or before that in Munich, bachelor, master degree. So
All of it.
you're all set to go now. We're looking forward to your speech, NIO, Smart Electric Vehicle and Battery Swapping. So please go ahead and you may use the auto monitor out there.
All right. Thank you very much for that introduction, and welcome also from my side. Good morning, everyone. Really great to see you all here on that stage, and I'm really happy to be here today, having the chance to introduce NIO to you a little bit. What was quite surprising to me is that how often we've already been mentioned. Well, maybe not by name, but I've seen us on a lot of slides. So therefore, also, I want to introduce to you a little bit more about, let's say, what the company is about, what we're striving for, and where our EVs maybe are already smarter, and then of course our nowadays unique selling feature, which is the battery swapping. So I want to start with a quote from our CEO and founder, William Li. So why is there NIO? So it was back in 2012 where, well, everybody still remembers that, I guess, those big smog clouds in China. And right about that time, this is also when William had his first child. Well, he didn't want to have his children growing up in that environment. So he decided to do something about that, and he founded a NIO as a car company, EV car company, to make the environmental impact of the car the car business smaller and enhance air quality, because he had this vision and dream of a blue sky coming. So whenever you see that, it's kind of our motto is NIO, it's blue sky coming. Also, everybody who's been to China, or some of the Chinese colleagues within the audience here might know that in China our name is also not NIO but Weilai, which translate actually to the blue sky coming. So to give a little bit of the background, we all know China has the largest, the most competitive, and also open market for smart EVs. So everybody's welcome to join in there. Everybody can go over there and sell cars, sell EVs. And to give a quick overview what the sales numbers are, so about 600,000 cars a month are sold. EVs are sold in China, which accumulate to 1/3 of the new car sales in China. So very big numbers. And then we've talked about that before, or we heard about that, the Shanghai Auto Show, so that was the NIO booth at that time. There is a very intense competition, but this intense competition that also, let's say, we are facing with our Chinese competitors and the German OEMs and global OEMs that are participating in the Chinese market, this intense competition enables a lot of innovations, and we're also required to have a continuous experience upgrade for our users. So our vehicles need to be smart so that we are able to change them, to improve them time and time again. that NIO is not doing that bad in that respect. I think we can see that in our numbers here as of September, so end of last month, we delivered a total of almost 400,000 premium smart EVs globally. And in August, so that were the latest numbers we had. Unfortunately, numbers in NIO change often quite a lot and quite fast. We claimed a 59% market share in China's premium EV segment. So the cars priced above 300,000 RMB. And well, so when talking about NIO, nobody really ever knows the cars, I guess. So I also brought an overview of all the cars in the full product portfolio that we have. So we started out, of course, that's not the car you can buy right now. We started out actually also with a motor sport Formula E legacy. So we actually participated in the very first Formula E racing contest, World Championship, and actually won the championship at the time. Afterwards, we started out also with an EP9, which at that time was the fastest EV in the world by setting a Nürburgring lap record. And then in 2017, so about 3 years after founding NIO, we started delivering the cars of our first platform, the first NT1 platform, what it was called. And you can see the cars, the 3 cars that we built on that platform, the ES8, the ES6, and the EC6. And since then, at the time already, we were working already on our platform, which is called NT2. And you can see all the cars that we've built up on NT2 so far and also released. And quite a lot of them are also now in the European market, now being delivered to Germany, to the Netherlands, to Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. And you see we're targeting, of course, with the size, of course, of the cars, the premium segment. And yeah, we really believe that NIO is also is a premium brand with a premium service we offer to our users. And we're very much a user company. And I will show later on how this user relation and interconnection with our users actually also influences our R&D process. Another, let's say, short outlook to see that it's a premium car. So with NIO EL7, ET5, and also our newest edition, the ET5 Touring, we received the new Euro NCAP 5-star safety rating already as the first Chinese car company in Europe, or represented in Europe. So that was a little bit about the company overall, about our product portfolio and what we're doing. And now, of course, let's say I want to dive quickly into some of our R&D and how our R&D is set up. So basically, we try, or no, we don't only try, we also do. We do our full stack in-house core technology development. So our core technologies are, of course, the battery pack, which as an EV is not very surprising as it accumulates to about 30% of the BOM costs, right? We're also developing on our own electric motors and ECUs. And then, let's say, where that gets interesting or more interesting to the users, as the first ones are basically just the basis so that our car is able to drive. It's a smart gateway. And for our user interaction, our smart cockpit with this very nice looking companion that we have situated in the middle of the car, which is called Nomi. And the reason behind that is, of course, she knows me as the user if I'm driving my car, and I can interact with her. And that's, of course, also based on an AI technology. Also, of course, autonomous driving is a big topic that we're tackling, and I think that's also a lot of the things that were discussed already in the talks yesterday or this morning. I will not go that much into or not at all actually, in the whole zone architecture, or because there wouldn't be nothing new. It was said yesterday. It's pretty much the reasonable thing to do. We also knew that. The only difference that I can tell you about that, for us, it's not called zone architecture, but domain architecture. But I think with that wording, that doesn't really lead to talking about this again and again and again. You've heard that from the colleagues of the German OEMs that were talking yesterday. To give you more of an insight of where we're based, we still see ourselves as a global startup with also global R&D activities. So you can see that we have R&D hotspots in kind of like every region or every market that is nowadays relevant. So we have some colleagues based in the US, in San Jose and Seattle. We have a lot of people working in Europe, in Oxford, in Munich, in Berlin, and also near Budapest. And well, of course, as we're a Chinese company, the main R&D, which is also includes the production R&D, is based in China. We have about 11,000 people working in R&D, with a lot of them being actually software developers, with 1.5 billion US dollars R&D investment last year. That I think is also quite an impressive number. So the idea about this whole global structure, of course, is also share our knowledge between the different backgrounds, between share those diversity and put this diversity into the definition of our cars. And so just as an example, especially China, we of course use that for the very fast application of new technology. So I think you all know where is there a higher demand to have a very quick adaptation to new technology. Everybody wants to have that in the newest car updates, and cars are changed quite frequently. And also, therefore, it's the flexibility and adaptability which we can see then, of course, in our production lines. The EU, therefore, is still, of course, very, very valued by our Chinese colleagues for their knowledge and, for example, the mechanical engineering, but also the basic science like physics and chemistry. So I think that's also reflected in our setup. So our vehicle engineering pre-development department is situated from the very beginning in Oxford, the UK. Here, just let's say some pictures of our manufacturing bases, so that you see it's not all just talk. So we really have something of that also set up. Most of that, of course, in China with the whole car production and also drivetrain production. But we also invested already and set up a plant in Hungary that is basically building our power swap stations for the European market. Now, I talked before that I want to quickly touch the point why we consider ourselves a user enterprise and how we react to user voices in our development process. So our whole car setup from the very beginning, and that then also defines a lot of the things you can see in our cars, were derived from the fact that we try to see what user value can we generate by implementing one thing compared to another, what functionality, and in that case also then not focusing on cost, which brings the higher user value. And this, of course, also helped us quite a bit to achieve topics like the battery swapping in the electrification technology. It's also in how our interior feels, how we develop our autonomous driving features, and how we include that. But this is in the vehicle definition from the very beginning. But then also the user experience for us plays a very huge role in operating our cars right now. So to actually show you that cycle, through NOMI, you can actually give us right to development. You can give us a feedback about what you like or do not like about the car. So by hearing that user voice, this issue is labeled, and we directly generate basically Jira tickets for the different development departments to do that. And then through our continuous improvement process, in the R&D operation department, we try to tackle the issue, to improve it. We test it, of course, and then with our OTA platform, we are not only able to access the application layer or some let's say software apps on the very top, but we can also do firmware updates over the air for our cars. So that's why we differentiate between SOTA updates and FOTA updates, so one being firmware and the other software. And we have a pretty rigid renewal cycle. So we hope that with everything we then include, we optimize the user experience. And then again, we're listening for the new user voices if that's been the right choice or whether we need to do the next loop. But how are we able to do that? Of course, that's only possible with also a lot of partners and including them in our network. So one part of that is, of course, using the mature supply chain, especially for the whole vehicle development and application. Because, of course, as a startup, we cannot make up everything that's been done in the mechanical engineering for more than 150 years in the legacy automotive world. But then we're also building up our innovative supply chain for innovative technology and try to find innovative companies to work with, to include them in our cosmos. And we're also, of course, working with a lot of academic institutions to focus on technology research and also explore what could be the next things we want to include. Now we're finally getting near the topic that I'm working with, which is the batteries, and which is I think the really unique feature that we have. So what we do with our batteries, we call it a recharging beyond refueling, and and this is done by our innovative battery swapping technology. So with our batteries, which are chargeable, of course, but also they are swappable. And we'll get to that pretty soon. And if we just listen to Dr. Horn, so everybody who is not really into in-car gaming and to use the charge time, he can swap, and then that will be a lot quicker. That will be under 5 minutes. And so it's really more like refueling, but also it gives you the chance to upgrade your battery. You can either switch to a different size of the battery, so for a different range, or it will give you the chance to participate, let's say, in future updates of our batteries when we bring more innovation to that. And to give you an overview how this is set up and also how the whole swapping process is working, I brought a little video for you, and yeah, let's enjoy that one. Yeah, so what you could just see was the setup of our newest power swap station, the power swap station 3.0, which is our newest edition. Difference to the previous ones is that it's now fully automated. Already before, let's say, the whole charging process is fully automated. So you basically, you touch in your car or in your app that you want to do a swap. You go, you drive in front of the charging station, and then the car takes over and does everything by itself. But now we do not necessarily need an operator at our swapping stations. And additionally, to also improve that, the charging or swapping station at 3.0 has more batteries to store. And now to give an overview, because this of course looks really complicated, well, a lot of the mechanics in there, and having this kind of like two garage kind of size. We already have almost or very close to 2,000 swapping stations globally. Our charging network also has roughly 19,000 power chargers, and our users have access to 1.3 million third-party chargers. And again, here the numbers, they are just so fast and increasing. So when we were there last week preparing for the presentation, it was still 29 million swaps that have been done until today. Then I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday, the number switched to 30 million. Not sure whether this is still accurate as of today. Maybe we're at 31 million. So a lot of things are happening there. And if you look at the setup in China, all the eastern side is really very well covered, and we have a lot of users that are basically swapping every day. And now, of course, we're also trying to bring that ecosystem to Europe, and again, we're relying on partners. So we're partnering with EMBW in Germany. Also, we have a very big cooperation going on with Shell, who's globally active, of course. And as of right now, again, here the numbers changed. Couldn't get a new picture though. Last week we opened up our 27th power swap station in Europe. You see the power swap stations are built up as of right now in the markets that I mentioned before. We're delivering right now. But of course, the plan is to extend that to way more countries, and of course a lot denser network in the next few years, actually months. But let's look on European regulation, how fast we can make that work, or bureaucracy rather. To finalize my talk, I still want to give you a little bit about the insights in the battery system, and I think this is then also where we close the loop, where we come up with a lot of the topics that have been touched before here in this conference. So the battery system, as I mentioned before, it's an integral part of an EV, and therefore it's core technology that we're developing in-house, again, of course, with partners. For us, we have, of course, some preconditions due to the swappable design. But also what everybody needs in a car, it's the battery as an energy provider, and as it's the biggest part and also the most hazardous part, we also need to have a very good safety strategy. And therefore we're also developing our own what we call Bamboo battery life cycle monitoring, and we have an intelligent BMS. And as I said, when I come to those things, rather in the last few slides, you will see where it brings us to the edge of where we're not only talking about a software-defined vehicle, but then also generating a lot of data and how to use this data. So the design for swap is, of course, again, a little different. So the design, and also to make the decision that we want to do a swappable system, came from looking at the energy system from the very beginning, and to look for what the users really need and what brings the highest benefit. And well, so we started already a couple of years ago, and at that point, at least fast charging, which would still leave you at least half an hour of in-car gaming if you want to do that. It took even longer. So offering from the very beginning a solution that gives you the possibility to swap within 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes is, from our point of view, still a very high user value, or very valuable for the user, for the timing that he has, and etc. So with that, of course, we had to look at the whole battery operations differently, because let's say it's not that you have one battery in the car from, well, when it rolls out of the factory and then until the car will get recycled, or somebody buys a new car, but it's in a steady swapping cycle. We have to ensure the safety during the swap. We have to make sure the car is safe. That also during the time when the battery is swapped out, we have to make sure that the battery is safe when it's stored in our swap stations, where of course there are a couple of batteries stored. So we have to have this whole life cycle management and also life cycle monitoring in place. And considering all of that, then basically that only after that we could really dive into the battery design, about all the mechanical parts, the electrical parts, how the thermal management would look like, how cell design looked like, etc. And with that also we set up, of course, our intelligent BMS, also for being upgradable, and also for being able to do, it's also a very nice feature, being able to do additional tests within the power swap stations when we have full control of what we can do with the battery. In the last few years, of course, we also had to expand our battery value chain. So when we started, let's say, for the very first battery systems, of course, kind of also like every OEM, you defined its system and, let's say, have the supplier do the rest into that. But as with nowadays, we want to have a lot faster development cycles, and also with topics like the new European battery regulation in place, where recycling and having recycled content in new batteries, of course, understanding the whole loop and being involved in the whole loop gets a lot more interest, and also therefore value. And so right now there come the engineering slides, and I don't want to dig too much into that, but it's just to give an example how much there is to monitor simply in a battery system. So of course you know all about the whole car system, and probably most of you hope that it's not that many signals that come out of the BMS and are sent to the rest of the car, which then has to further be evaluated and done anything with. So, but we have to do all those statistic monitoring, and then of course event monitoring, so that we can react to whatever is happening to the battery. Worst case, of course, always the thermal runaway event that we want to prevent. But therefore, the battery life cycling and the data collecting actually starts already very much in the R&D, and then we've seen that also a lot of the issues that later on happen in the field are already due to any component production failures and issues. So we have to take care of this enormous amount of data, which couples the R&D tests, where everything, of course, in the end, hopefully works very fine. And then we have to use that and check this with all the production data from components, from the cell, from modules, from the whole pack assembly, and then the integration. And there is already that much data, to which then we have to add, of course, what the usage is. And in the future, this exactly is all what we have to state, or a lot of that is what we have to state in the battery passport. So we are also, with my background, being in electrical engineering, but then going a lot in chemical engineering and just focusing on active materials in batteries, nobody thought that we would ever go this way, that we would end up with this whole lot of data and using this data in such a quick time. But yeah, we're at it and we're working on it. And of course, having this data also gives you a lot of interesting opportunities for the future. So that's also why we set up what we call our cloud BMS. So by using our data, we can improve our, let's say, working boundaries of our cars. We can use it for different sweet spots. We can also, in a worst case, to prevent any harm, we could limit the battery for until a certain check is done, for example. And of course, this is also then the great user value. We can make sure that he is always safe, and that we also give him the best performance possible. And when I heard about the talk yesterday, where there was also additional, or there was a talk about using prediction models to make the range accuracy better, that's also something we can implement later on due to our photo updates, and the update therefore to our cloud BMS by also making that available to that. So yeah, to sum that up quickly, we also, although we started maybe on this green field and we don't have a lot of the legacy that some of the other OEMs have, maybe we're already in that stage 2 that Dr. Horn described before, or maybe already on the verge to this stage 3, where we can use all this data and bring more value to our users. We're working hard on that, yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe seeing some of you in a NIO in the near future. And by that, I want to say thank you very much. If you want to download the app, you can use this QR link, and you have the chance to register there, see what we're offering, also way beyond our cars purity, and yeah, feel free to download, and feel free to talk to me after this talk. Thank you very much.
Frank, that really was a great insight into the internals of NIO, the philosophy behind that, the ideas behind that. It was very important for us in the program committee to have one of the new kids on the block present here, and I think you gave us an excellent overview. There are a lot of questions, and right. I decided to, please excuse that, to summarize them to 2 questions I'd like to have short answers on, because we're running late.
Yep.
But I didn't want to interrupt your talk because it was so present and so relevant. One question I have is, in terms of the software-defined vehicle, you said there's a lot of core technology that you develop in-house, for example, several functions. Do you also claim the middleware, the software around the operating systems and the communication software, or is that something you have partners for?
Of course, we're also working with partners step by step, but let's say, you can call it anyway, unfortunately, or whatever we need to do, a lot of things we have really developed by ourselves because others just weren't fast enough. So okay. We just did it.
Okay, you did it and it's there. Good, understood. The other questions all arrange around battery swapping.
Yeah.
Business model, where is it, how far is it advanced? And I would summarize the question in the following way. Do you see a bright future in the battery swapping concept in comparison to HPC infrastructure out there? Do you think on the long run that this will stay alive?
Again, I think we need to look at different parts of the world. In China, as I said, many of our users are swapping daily, as well with different city setup, and a lot of people living in big cities where you don't do home charging, and therefore also don't have the chance to start your journey with a full battery each morning. It's definitely very, very, very promising, and by what I mentioned before, the chances that you have, you can still charge. If you have time, you can charge it at home, but it's just, you can just fly by. As I said, it's less than 5 minutes that you need for the whole process of where the car automatically goes into the swap station, the battery is swapped, and you can continue your drive. And nowadays you can even get out and use the time to attend to your personal needs, which was not possible before. You can switch between different sizes of batteries, which of course have a different price in the battery as a service fee, you don't have to take the risk of a battery being faulty, because, well, then get another one.
Okay, Frank. This is so you don't have to swap your batteries on your smartphone.
That's good.
Little present from us.
Thank you very much.
Please be available at the speaker's corner, as there are a lot of questions to you.
Sure.
I could continue on and on. Thanks very much to you for this great talk, and please be available for the questions.
Sure, will do. Thank you very much for having me.
Big hand for Frank.
Thank you.